Alright, we're off. Just had a weird hiccupy thing, so it might go really strange. Right, so I accidentally named the open game hands this. I wasn't sure what to do. The rule set's very odd. Plus plus wall, combo elemental. Elemental always throws me, but no same made me think I'm not sure what the go-to strategy should be. Now the hand at the bottom has a few kind of little synergies, right? The 3686 can kind of sweep up the 6187 or 8753 if they ever land in like 2 or squares up there. While at the bottom, the 4876 sets up plus walls with Ifrit, and Ifrit can also recapture 8753 side to side either way. The hand at the top was more me thinking kind of, what can I build that's a little purer on power? It doesn't really deal with 9s well, but I also think he's likely to use the level 8 to do something dynamic rather than pure power. The 5757 deals nicely with 8s. The idea is to start in 1 or 3 with one of the 8-8 corners, and then if the other one can land in the other, the 8616 is really nicely set up. I think I'm going to start with that hand and see how it goes, because it sort of has inbuilt starter ideas in a more straightforward way. I was a bit wrecked by Addy destroying me and trying to get my mojo back. All right, he did play the 3686, 8753, and 8. All right, he made sure to have elemental on all his cards, so we got to really think through where that could land. The 8753 is a plus in 2 different squares. We could still take it in either, though. 5188 has the plus wall in 2 if it goes 1. 9953 is the plus wall in 4. Is there anything else we have to be too careful of? 5587 has a plus 1 in 6. Again, I feel like I should have the tools to deal with that. Alright, what about my hand? My hand has no elemental stuff in it, or very little. So, let's say best of luck. And, start trying to use the brain. The 8-8 corner in 3 is harder for him to take. Does he have big setups? Well, sort of. It's plus plus wall. So Quetzalcoatl can be set up to have it, but that will also set me up in 6. 3686 can be set with either of the 5s. Does that give me anything nice? But he's so reliant on taking with Quetzalcoatl in 2 that it's probably pretty good for me. I have a plus wall in 1 if he ever has to take there. So he really kind of needs to set up both ways. So 6548 in 5 does set up 3686 to have both sides. That might be scary. That might be scary. I feel like I have some options there. I don't think that can be all that scary, and I think potentially he has issues going to the right. For instance, if I go in 3 and he goes in 5, and say I play something like 2884 and 6, it's hard for him to not play 2. Maybe he can play 9 there, but he used 6548 and 9, so there's not really a great card for 9. So it's hard for him to not play 2. That combos lots of things. But I play 8616 and 9 at the end, and his only way to take that is Quetzalcoatl, and I have that pretty well covered. I think my 9953 could be really good in that endgame. This is going to be tough. I'm definitely, as I said, the Addy game really, really messed with me. I was really, felt just terrible for a day or two. And then I thought I was fine after that. But then I thought about playing Triple Triad, and it was like, ugh, no, not that. So, that's sort of where I'm at still, though it's been a while. But haven't played any since. But trying to be cheerful about it, obviously. Especially having been, like, just made clan leader and having not really shown up very well in either the first or second leg. I didn't lose any games, but I didn't really win. I won, I think, one, and I blew some positions, and I could have lost some positions, and it just all felt like I really didn't show up for my clan. And then I get an opportunity. One issue on 9953 comboing Quetzalcoatl is they do have 8753 to combo back, so I'm going to have to be careful about that. As they say in chess, the threat is greater than the execution. I may have to sit on it and not be able to actually hit that hard with it. We'll have to be careful about that. I'm expecting 6548 in 5. Yeah, so yeah, I felt bad being clan leader and letting the clan down. I've never done all that well in clan events, and was hoping that would have changed. Addy played awesome though. Like, I didn't lose to someone making poor moves. I lost to someone making great moves. So that's something. Alright, I also thought maybe this video I'd talk about the wonderful chess drama. Given that we'll be playing a while, if you follow this through, maybe we'll get to talk about it through. So I think we'll start with that. And our two main characters are Magnus Carlsen, who is the reigning chess world champion. And I'm going to give so much background noise because background info because I tell stories all lengthily. All right, so he does make the move we expected. So one problem with my sort of scheme is they do have combos back on both squares, right? Like if 9953 lands in 1, they can combo back in 4, and if 9953 lands in 7, they can combo back in 4 as well, just with a different card. So I have to be careful about that. But it wasn't really my plan to capture or combo immediately. It was to play 2, 8, 8, 4, and 6. Which seems kind of appealing to me. It gets a card out of my hand I might just not want in my hand. I can also play it in 1, I suppose. It's kind of sneaky in 1, because they actually don't have a way to play in 2 that doesn't flip stuff. And so they're pretty susceptible to combos. Maybe they get the combos back, though. An interesting idea. I don't think I want to go far away. I just don't have the squares adjacent to stuff nearly as well as he does. So I don't think there's a good case for going far away. I think I want to go in 1 or 6. Problem with 1, I guess 1 just makes 9953 really good. So if we can set up a X from there, it's probably going to be a nice X. I have such good combo power. Or something of that ilk. I could see that being really good. I think he does go in 2. But can I be in trouble after that? I don't think so. So 2, 8, 8, 4, and 1 feels safe. 6, I'm not so sold on. I think there's a bunch of things that could happen there. I'm not feeling that excited about them. So now I'm kind of thinking 1. Kind of thinking 1. I'm gonna try it. Seems like a fun move to make, and my instinct says good. All right, we'll try it. I should be still keeping my eye on +1s. I completely forgot that things could have +1s. But I still don't think it should matter too much. So hopefully it's all okay here. One sec, replying to messages. Okay. Yeah, so I want to talk about Magnus Carlsen and Hans Niemann, an up-and-coming player. And I think we'll start with Hans Niemann. Hans Niemann is a young American player who has reliably been one of the better US prospects, like kind of a top 10 youngster, but never like looking like he was going to break into kind of top flight chess, never looking on that trajectory. When he was 16, actually, 3 years ago, um, he moved out of his home to go live on his own in New York to just really study chess. I think at some point in the last few years, not sure if it was then, but he applied to Harvard, got rejected. Um, he was an international master, and I actually played him in an online bullet game where I beat him. So I'm very proud of that because he's one of the more talented prospects I've beaten. So I always, root for the people I have wins against because someday down the road I can be like, I beat this, top 30 or whatever player. Anyways, so he was an IM then about a year ago, 2 years ago, he starts winning lots of events. He goes to Europe, starts playing events in Europe, and he starts winning event after event. And his rating rockets up from, obviously, you probably aren't familiar with chess ratings, but from, the high 2400s, which is maybe um, top 1500 in the world, top 2000 in the world, something like that, to maybe higher than that. Maybe it's more like top 1000 in the world, but to 2680, 2690, which is like borderline top 50 in the world. So there's just this huge, huge jump. He has this incredible run. And for his efforts, he gets invited to the Miami FTX Crypto Cup. Now, not going to complain about how horrible crypto is again. I've done that in a video before. Though I will say FTX is particularly obnoxious because effective altruism has some interesting things about it, and the FTX guy is doing what he can to get rid of that. But, ignoring all of that, he plays in this tournament, and it is a rapid tournament where you play a set against each other player every day. You play a match of 4 games. Draws count. You play 4 games. If someone's won after 4 games, they win the match. If you're tied after 4 games, either you may have tied all 4 games, or I won 1, you won 1, we drew the other 2. However it goes, then you go to a tiebreaker. And in the first day of the tournament, he's playing the Polish player Jan Krzysztof Duda. And in the first game, he has a better position, but he's kind of blown it, and it's about even, but his opponent is really low on time. When it turns out the organizers forgot to charge his laptop, and it's not plugged in while you're playing, and it turns off during the game, which gives his opponent 10 minutes to think while they find a light cord and plug it in because they're just incompetent idiots. And when they come back, his opponent now plays perfectly, and he ends up losing that game. And then he's, in the interview after, drops so many F-bombs and immediately loses the next 2 games as well. Okay, we got to think about our game. So I thought this was the main move because he could combo back when I combo. But I have some choices here because his only good card for 6 is 3686. And I have the combo with 8616, but I guess I have to use 8616 and 4 probably. Because if I use 9953, he has the combo with 8753, and I think I'm in trouble there. Now, I could always play something like 5757 and 6, And that might be good enough to tie, because if he plays any card in 4, I can play 8-6-1-6 in 9. No, he can play 3-6-8-6 in 4, and then my idea doesn't work. So actually, then I just take it with 8-6-1-6, and I'm fine. So I probably have a tie in 4. I could also play 8. 5-7, 5-7, and 8 kind of appeals to me. It's almost safe to his hand. Sadly, it doesn't set up any way to capture Quetzalcoatl, though. But I think that ties. I think that's a nice tie. I think I have a couple ties. I can play 8-6-1-6 and 4. That's the kind of obvious move to make. He replies 3-6-8-6 and 6 and combos a whole bunch of things back. I'll be down 7-3. I can then play, I guess, 5-7, 5-7 in 7. And I'm down 6-4, and 9-9, 5-3 will take something. So I think that's a tie too. Do we have anything better? We do. I'm not seeing it. No, I think I should go one of those lines. I should probably play whatever I think is safest, because we're playing 5-minute, and that's fairly fast. So I'm really tempted to start with 5-7, 5-7, and 8. There's a chance... No, that might lose to 3-6, 8-6 in 6. 7-3, because I don't have the capture at the end. Okay, I can't do that one. Yeah, I can't do that one. So it was another tie. 8-6-1-6 and 4, I think, ties. And 5-7, 5-7 and 6, I think, ties. I should make sure on that. The -1 in 8 is really helping me. There. And if there, take it. Yeah, I think I'm going to play 5-7, 5-7, and 6. If I'm not being a complete idiot, I think that can't lose. And if I am being a complete idiot, I guess I'll lose anyway. So, yeah, we're going to do it that way. All right, back to the Hans Niemann story. So he makes this. He starts winning all these events. He gets invited to the Miami tournament, and in the first round, his computer runs out of battery. They were computers supplied by the tournament. It runs out of battery. What a nightmare. Wait, why did I think this tied? Oh, okay. Sorry, I got confused for a sec because I got scared of 2-9-9, 4 and 4 when he leads 6-4, but that's fine. We have 9-9, 5-3 and 7 there. Jeez, I'm not in great shape, but the elemental saves us, and we have a plus against 8-7, 5-3 and 8 in 9. The plus is on. We should check rules. Yeah. Ooh, shaky start for me. Shaky start. Yeah. That doesn't feel good to be blanking on. Okay, anyways, back to the story. So he loses this game, completely tilts, loses the next two as well to lose the 4-game match in just 3 games. And from then on, every round of his is something of a disaster. Like each round after that, he'll like win a game and then blow the match. And that happens for like the next 2 matches. Um, and he will give increasingly unhinged interviews. At one point, he declares, I'm not going to give any more interviews. I will let the chess speak for itself. The next day, he plays terribly. Everyone goes, ha ha ha, the chess spoke for itself. Right? And all right, he's picked up 2994. So presumably Quetzalcoatl's going in 4. I think that's the logical square. And then thanks to a plus, we survive, but or thanks to an elemental. Yeah, 9953 and 7 was my plan, and I think we will do it. Sorry, 8616 and 9 was my original plan, and that works too. Why did I freak out and think that didn't work? Oh, because they're up 6-4, so they go 7, but they don't capture it. They can't capture it. That's the point. 9953 is guaranteed a last turn capture. I think we will do it with 9953 though. That appeals to me. Just make sure I'm not being an idiot. If 8753 turns out to be a dual elemental, then we still tie this way, and we don't the other way, because then it would capture. So we'll do it this way, just making sure if that happens to be both light and dark, we don't lose. Gotta hate elemental. So, okay. So Hans Niemann, on match day 3 or 4, he plays Carlsen, the world champion. It was also fun. There was a picture the day before the tournament of them playing chess together on the beach with a board on the sand. Anyway, so he plays Magnus Carlsen, the reigning world champion, and he beats him game 1 as black. Huge upset, huge surprise. This kid's been playing terribly. You know, he's borderline top 50 in the world. He's against the clear best in the world. And he wins game 1 as black. He proceeds to lose the next 3 games in increasingly terrible fashion. Giving an interview afterwards, the interviewer's like, sorry, I should reply to Piggy. The interviewer's like, but you still feel good beating Carlsen as black. And he's like, no, I feel terrible. If I beat him as black in the first game, I should at least make it to tie breaks. I have 2 whites. I'm up a point. I should at least tie the main match and get to tie breaks. No, he loses it. Very unhappy. He gives another interview, very depressed interview, saying in the 4 days he's been there, he spent over $1,000 on Uber Eats. Keep in mind he's under drinking age, which I think is the easiest way to rack up big bills. Same wall. It's same wall. I thought it was plus wall. It's same wall. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, let's look at the hands, but I don't think I want to run them anymore. I gotta, 1 sec, I have the stips somewhere. I might time out and card select here thinking. Females only, no rares. Yeah, so there was some plus-based stuff. There were some plus-based hand builds. I had 2 ideas. The first one, 756A, or the second one, 756A lands in 5. The other cards orbit around it nicely. I thought, don't use the A9-6-4 pair, but now I think probably should use the A9-6-4 pair. So we're going to go back to card select. Really hard not to use Yuna and Yuna. It is incredibly predictable, but with same and same wall on and plus, it's just so hard not to. So we're going to use the Yuna pair. I know it's predictable, and I don't like doing that in closed games. Now, that really incentivizes using pairs and using A9s, I think. I thought it de-incentivized A9s, but now I think it extra incentivizes them. So I was thinking use 9-9s, not A9s, but all right. Garnet is probably a pretty good card. Yeah, let's run Garnet. And there should be, I listed as many cards as I could that I thought were interesting. There's a 4/5/9/8 for 3. Is that the FF Tactics one? I should know the FF Tactics cards. I love it. There we go. And that's an A9 in each direction. No plus wall. What do I want coverage of that will give me pluses with 9s? Is there an up-down A9? Something a little dynamic? Something to go in 5, 6, 9, 5, 9. Not quite what I'm looking for. Quistis, maybe? What's my balance? 27 going up, 30 going right, 24 going down, and 32. Quistis is a good fit. Quistis is a good fit. Oh, jeez. This threw me. So what's the rules? Females only, no rares. Okay, we fit the rules. Let's try it. Ooh. All right, we got first turn. Now, we don't really have a plan here, as you may know. I want to play Quistis in 7, because if he's using the unipair, he will set me up in 5, or there's a very decent chance he will set me up in 5, right? Because 9/6/4A and 5 looks really appealing after Quistis in 7. Does that not seem like a tempting option? You look at that and you see that. I think I'm going to go for it. I think I'm just going to play it. Let's think a little longer, because he knows, because I mentioned, oops, let's make a hand and card select. He knows he knows that I mentioned, oops, I got the rule set wrong. So given we got the rule set wrong, if I make a move really quick, it might look better controlled than it should be. And I think it's a really good idea. I like the way Quistis works with the Unas. And I have same walls on both sides. I can lock in. I just want to spend a little time because I think it looks reasonable. So let's go back to the Hans Niemann tale. He loses to Carlsen, doesn't even make it to tie breaks after winning a game as black, which was a great game, well done. He goes on to lose every single match of the tournament. I believe maybe it was 10 players, 9 matches, maybe 8 players in 7 matches. Loses every single one, comes distant last, 0 points scored, and spent over $1,000 on Uber Eats. And then another tournament started, the Cinca Field Cup. The Cinca Fields are really horrible Missouri billionaires just trying to do everything they can to ruin education there. But when they're not ruining education, sometimes they're distracted from spending their money on that by spending it on chess. So American chess is now like entirely centered around their egos, which is kind of a shame, but hopefully distracts their money from worse things. So the Cinca Field Cup is the biggest tournament in American chess, the biggest international one. You could say the U.S. championships are bigger, but I would say the Cinca Field Cup's the biggest. And one of their players drops out at the last minute because of travel restrictions. Pretty clearly, he's unvaccinated. Get vaccinated, people. What a fucking idiot. Anyway, one guy drops out, and because Niemann is local, and because also he gave this series of hilariously stupid interviews, he is invited because he's currently in the zeitgeist. And I know Piggyman loves Sames. That's why I really think if he's gone double Una, it is so appealing to play Una here in 5. Really trying to exploit the psychology of the individual, as it were. I'm not sure how I can hide that I have Unas 2 for very long, but I will try if he does so. We're just trying to make reads. Anyhow, So he gets an invite to the Sinquefield Cup, and our story will happen at the Sinquefield Cup. So our first main character is Hans Niemann, makes this huge jump from kind of age 17 to 19, is possibly now in the world's elite, but as soon as he got an invitation to a major event, he completely fell apart, though not entirely his fault. Like, he did get screwed over by the computer running out of power because the organizers are idiots and just incompetent. So that's our first character, Hans Niemann. If you want like a little more on him, he kind of gives off overconfident vibes. I actually have a friend, two friends who played him in different tournaments, one in New York, one in Massachusetts. The one in New York says he kind of like, he was very strong, but like wasn't able to, when they were talking after the game, to like explain any of his moves. It was kind of weird. Clearly like jumped from overconfidence to kind of weird inabilities to underexplain. But you know, awkward teenager happens. He also streamed a bunch once he left his parents to go live alone in New York. When he was 16, he started streaming chess, and you know, asked girls out on stream, did some stuff that gives off kind of weird vibes. But again, he's pretty clearly a kind of not great socially teenager. It happens. Okay, our second major character, Magnus Carlsen. So I'm a Magnus Carlsen hater. I should say that in advance. I will try to give. I misread the situation. Now, if we play Yuna in 5, that still might be pretty good. But I'm also sure he has a 10 to the right, so I'm sure he has some way to parry that. Now, Yuna in 8, either Yuna in 8, we have 8 covered. And 4A96 is really good in either 8 or 6. So we actually have pretty good coverage there. We could play to give Yuna 4 as well. We could try to give Yuna everything. So we would play FFX Yuna in 1 to give FFX2 Yuna every square. I think that gives the game away, though. I think that gives the game away. And maybe that's okay to do. He's shown a corner card for 9. Again, I wrote down all the plausible cards. That was one of the ones I listed for 9. I would expect him... I really think he probably has Yuna as well. It's a really natural fit. If I play my FFX Yuna in 1, I can hold on to the other Yuna for a while. Much of the duties it does can be duplicated. Yeah. Piggy likes 4 corners, though. So there's a chance if I go 1, he goes 3, and then it would be so nice to be able to play Yuna 5, because then other Yuna would be such a beast. And so it would be it's such a high incentive to get Yuna to land in 5. And so there's an argument for holding it in my hand. But the 6s play so well with Garnet, I think I gotta use Yuna. I think it tells him a card in my hand. The worry is he goes 8. Because I don't want to be stuck with Garnet at the end. Does that mean I should just use Garnet now? Garnet in 1. What would I be worried about? Being stuck with Yuna at the end. Yeah, I think it's got to be Yuna. I just really want to land her in 5, and I think if I go 1, there's a chance he goes 3, and then I'll be like, oh, shucks, you know? Okay, we're going to try it. If he goes 8, he does need to use a 10 to the right. Eight's tricky. Eight's tricky to deal with. Most other moves I feel reasonably good about, though. All right, Magnus Carlsen. Unbelievable child chess prodigy, gets so good so quickly, is like the 3rd youngest grandmaster ever or whatever. I think broke 2,700, which is kind of top 30 to 50 in the world range at the youngest age of anyone ever. That has since been passed, but I think at the time he held that title. He was born, I think, in 1990. I think he's a year older than me. I think in maybe 2009, 2010, he hits number one for the first time. He doesn't immediately hold it, but 2011 onwards, I think he's just been number one rated in the world, often by a huge margin. Um, the 2011 candidates, which determines who plays the reigning world champion, he doesn't compete in because he complains about, he says he doesn't like the system, he wants it changed. But by 2012-13, he decides to play it and he wins it. Though it's stupid when two people tie for first and who wins is determined by tie breaks when it matters as much as the candidates. You want there to be a tie break match. That would be so much more fun. And I thought the guy he tied for first with actually played better. I'm not saying that guy was a better player at the time, because I think Carlsen has been the best player in the world for a full decade. But I think he did play better in that tournament, and it kind of feels like he was robbed. Oh, should I post the first game? Probably should. What's the idea ID? Probably 223. No, that was different game. 227. I don't think you can see what I'm looking at. Let's see what you can see. No, you can only see my game. But I should post that game just to show we're playing. Set, tie. What was the move order? 3, 5, 1, 2, 6, 4, 7. What did you do at the end? You go 9 or 8. I forget. He went 8. I went 9. Piggy says, oh geez, FFX2 Yuna is looking pretty powerful for you here. Maybe it's looking powerful for me too. Who knows? I'm going to reply, who indeed? Now, he's shown cards for 7 and 9. A926 in 8 might be a decent option. He's unlikely to have a plus in 5. It seems like neither of us have run with any cards that have a double number. I think the technically right move is to go in 2, but I don't think without making a threat in 5 that's all that useful. What I like about going in 8 is if they do have the plus in 5, I can plus back in 6. If they go in 5 without plussing, I should be in a decent spot. I should be in a very good spot. If they have to block 6, then many things can happen. I think 8. I think 8 is better than 2. I think 8's better than 2. If I go Garnet in 2 and they go 8, now they're kind of unlikely to have an 8 facing up at this point, because we haven't seen corners for 1 or 3, but it could easily be on an up-down 5th card in the hand. Yeah, I wouldn't read too much up into that. Yeah, I think A926 in 8. I want to play it in 2, but I also have no ups there, and I would need ups more there than I will after this move. So, okay, we'll try it. I think a fair guess for his corner card for 1 is FX2 Yuna. He did shout it out. Yeah, so he's very aware of what cards are available as well. I really wish, Alma was like 5599, but it might look like I have 5599. So, or something like that. It was Ayla. I think that's Ayla. Alright. So Carlsen's been the best in the world for a while. Some people consider him the greatest of all time. I think by any remotely reasonable metric, this is clearly not the case. it's clearly Kasparov. I sound insane when I say Karpov and Carlsen are really close, but if you look at their rating dominance over the field, Carlsen has higher ratings, but I talk about this with TTA all the time. Ratings inflate in systems, and you should try to adjust accordingly. People never do. But if you look at like how ahead of the field you are, Karpov and Carlsen look really similar, but Karpov did it a lot longer. Oh, that's bad to see. That's bad to see. Oh, this is terrible. Because if they have FFX2 Yuna, we lose. Because we don't have double numbers. Because I gotta play Yuna in 5, and then we lose because they can take with a 10 to the right. Interesting that he had multiple cards for the same corner. I wouldn't have predicted that. Oh, this looks really bad for me, though. If I start with, fundamentally I lose to Yuna. So I think I have to play as if he doesn't have it. And he might not, because he did block 4. But I think I have to play as if he doesn't have Yuna. Because if he does have Yuna, I just lose no matter what. I just lose to Yuna. So we have to play as if he doesn't have Yuna. Now, he's shown 10s in every direction but down, so I think he has a 10 down, and we have to hope his second 10 isn't to the right. Now, it would make sense. Like, it makes sense for him to have Yuna, but I just have to play as if he doesn't. Because if he does, I lose anyway. I mean, Yuna in 2 is like a goofy move of me, but if they go 5, I just lose on the spot. So then the question is, do I want to play Alma, or the FFT card in 3, or Yuna in 5? And I think I want to play Yuna in 5. We lose to some pluses. They're running a lot less 9s than I am. They have 5, 6, 8A. No, that's a dude, I think. 6, 5, A8. Is Tifa 6, 8, A5 or 6, 5, A8? Tifa is 6, 8, A5. That's good. That doesn't plus. What cards specifically for 1 plus? 4, 6, 9, A beats us. 7, 9, 8, 4 doesn't. 3, 8, A7 doesn't. 6, 8, A5 doesn't. Just looking at my list. 5, 9, 9, 6 doesn't. 4, A, 9, 5 does beat us, but beats us the same as Yuna. 4, A, 9, 6 beats us. 7, 7, A5 does not beat us. 8, 5, 7, 7. Why is that listed as card for 1? 3, 9, 9, 8 doesn't beat us. 6, 8, 8, 6 doesn't beat us. Yeah. So we just have to hope not Yuna. Now we have to hope. So while I am internally panicking, I'd hoped 459A would be a good sweeper. Doesn't look like a great sweeper with that 10 facing up, but what can we do? So while internally panicking, we will continue speaking. Yeah, so Carlsen, one of the all-time greats. I think obviously Kasparov's number 1. I think Carlsen and Karpov are close, and Fischer is hard to evaluate. And the kind of the pre-1950s, pre-professionalization era, I think are very good, but I would grade as somewhat worse. I am pleased that we have survived this one. It is a shame to not win on a first turn, but we do survive. Close set, tie, 7, 9, 1, 4, 8, 6, 5, 2, 3. Ooh. Yeah, let's try set 3. Got some practice on each of these. That was scary. I'm sure it was scary for him too, because if I had the combo there, he loses. But actually, except for like 6868 or 6886, which isn't a dude, I don't think he was losing too much there. I think there wasn't much I could have that that hit that. thank him for putting up, by the way. Yeah, so Carlsen's great. At worst, the fourth best of all time. Probably, people think I'm crazy. I still would have him third, I think, but he will almost certainly end his career in second. But if you look at him compared to Karpov, looks very similar. Like, Carlsen's been world champ for 10 years. Karpov was world champion for 10 years. They have similar duration at number 1. Karpov can add on a ton of duration at number 2. They have similar gaps to the number 5 or number 10 rated in the world, but Karpov maintained very good, not quite as good, but very good another 15 years, and I think that deserves some credit. All right, now we got more horrible E again. Plus plus wall. Oh, this was the plus plus wall set. Yeah, I wrote down the closed set wrong. Yeah, I said plus wall, not same wall. Yeah, God, what a mistake. All right. Plus plus wall combo elemental, max 2 level 4s, no 7/6s, 6/6s, no rare semis. I did make a hand. 7 5 5 1 5 7 the 5 7 5s I just thought have to be best. Yeah, let's try it. Hopefully get open. I don't know what I'm doing as a starter. As you can see, we have the same exact level 4s. So that's interesting. Again, he clearly prioritizes being able to play off elementals in a way I don't. And 7532 could land in 2. Yeah, we both thought. The no 6/6s is yeah. I think these sets are not great. Not just because of elemental, but the way it stipulates. I think you want stipulations that, like, you want there to be different options of things to do, right? So if there's a rule set where there's an obvious best type of card and then it's unclear what's second best and you get rid of the best thing, then suddenly it opens up because the second best thing is reasonable and there's different ways to do it. If, however, there's a few things at the top and you get rid of them, and once they're gone, it is very clear what remains. There's only one serious option. Then everyone has to play that one thing or something very similar. And you saw this in the first round when 1754s were just completely rampant on the one of the rule sets. And that's not what you want from rule sets, right? You don't want the rules. You want the rule set to get rid of the thing that dominates the meta, such that a variety remains. You don't want the rule set to get rid of the variety, such that one thing remains. And so I think this, happens to be a not particularly good rule set, which happens, and that's fine. But it's nice when it feels like there are options. And I don't think it did to either of us here. All right. Carlsen, yeah, one of the all-time greats. I think a lot of people call him the greatest of all time. I think that's ridiculous. I think his career basically looks like Karpov, except Karpov, after 10 years, got surpassed by the greatest of all time. Now, the fact that he stayed so good and stayed second for so long after, the fact that after a schism, he was kind of a second world champion due to the schism, 25 years after he won his first championship until FIDE just randomly stripped him of the title because they were incompetent, is insane. And, like, Carlsen's almost certainly not going to have that kind of longevity. So, anyways, Carlsen will probably pass Karpov, but I think Kasparov is so far ahead that it's, yeah, I would have Carlsen third. I understand having him second. I think people who have him first all time are crazy, just loons. Okay, that said, Carlsen is great, very dominant, successful world champion. He, however, has done something really interesting. So his world championship match history. He destroys Anand. Anand was, fairly old, but has kept going forever and is still very good, so not like a weak opponent. Destroyed Anand. Then Anand won the candidates. He beat Anand again, not as badly. Anand played better the second time. Then he played a guy who turned out to be a genocidal maniac, Karyakin, and they drew their match, and Carlsen won in tiebreaks. And then he played Caruana. and they drew their match, and Carlsen won in tie breaks. You might be thinking, this isn't the most dominant world champion defenses. I agree, but no one else does. Anyway, then his next world championship, the most recent, he played Yam Nepomniachtchi, who I always pronounce Nepomniachtchi, so I'm just going to say Nepo. He played Nepo. Okay, we got to think. He only has one capture back in 2. And potentially, we have a plus in 5 there, if he does. Potentially, we combo back everything. What are the rules again? There's no same. So if we take and they capture back, it's at least scary for him because we could go in 5. I don't think I actually win after I go in 5. I think he plays 9 and actually I'm on the back foot. So maybe this is not worth looking at. What directions does he have relative weakness? 7-5-5 up, 7-5-4 right, 7-4-2 left, and 7-5-5 down. Huh. There's no same. Okay, gotta keep that in mind. It's really hard for me to keep in my head right now. Yeah, I think that sequence is bad for me. I think if I go 6 and he goes 2, feels like it should be good, but it isn't. Also, if I go 2, he has a combo back in 1. So I gotta keep my eye on that. That can be scary to walk into. Maybe 7-5-5-1 in 1, because it sets up a plus, not just a same in 2 with 2-5-7-5 that isn't shared. His only capture from 2, I can combo back in 6. I've had worse ideas. 7-5-5-1 in 1. Does give him annoying plus walls and lots of squares, though. Like, that he has the 7-5-3-2 plus wall in 4 is not ideal. Probably should request more time in these games. But actually, if he wants to be safely in 2, if I go in 1, it's a little tricky. No, I have redundant numbers facing down. I'm not seeing things. This is bad. We gotta find something that we're happy with. I'm gonna reload to make sure the time's correct. Seven, 5, 5, 1, and 1 is the best idea I see. Guess I'm gonna do it. Just don't see anything else. I think it's hard for him to occupy 2, and that he doesn't have a card good for 2 for the endgame means if I leave it open, I should have decent play. That's my thinking. And I want the game a little leftward. He's a little vulnerable going left. Okay. Back to other stuff. Yeah, so Carlsen, great player. I think people are jumping a little quickly on his historical placement, but he's like obviously top 5 all time. You know, he's a fantastic player. So Nepo is his most recent championship match, and they play pretty even for 5 games. And then Nepo gets a really good position, blows it, and Carlsen outplays him in the longest world championship game ever. Carlsen wins game 6, and Nepo absolutely collapses. The rest of the match is a joke. Carlsen slaughters him, which is his first really convincing world championship match in, 5 years, 7 years, 7 years. And so we come to this year's candidates, and the favorites were top seed Alireza Firouzja, top seed Ding Liren, who qualified when Karyakin was booted from the tournament for being a genocidal maniac, basically, for laughing at Ukrainian deaths. And Ding Liren got in. There was a whole thing about that, but he gets in. Ding is great. Ding hadn't gotten in basically because China has serious COVID restrictions, but this let him get in, and that's wonderful. He's a wonderful player. Really like Ding. Second seed was Alireza Firouzja, which was a really interesting case of an 18-year-old who rocketed up in the chess world, even more than Neiman, our first character, to number 2, number 3 in the world, but basically stopped playing for 9 months before the candidates after that. So very unclear what kind of form is he in, what kind of player is he these days. We just didn't know. And Caruana, who had been the world champion one cycle before, and Nepo, who had been the champion the cycle before. Those were the big four. Don't want to get too much into that one, but suffice it to say, Nepo has an incredible performance, wins the candidate with the biggest score we've seen in any candidates of this format, and wins the tournament. Carlsen, however, before the tournament says he might not play the World Championship. He is tired of spending half a year preparing for it and just that being exhausting and feeling thankless because all you do is hold on to this title. It's not this drive. It's not driving him anymore. All it does is bring this kind of stressful misery. I can empathize with that. I'm probably going to skip a major on Triple Triad soon. The Addy win, made me feel bad, but also just if I go in and out of the having it as my main game, I don't want to when it's not the main thing I'm working on, when I'm working on chess or thinking about chess, I don't want to just feel terrible about it. I want it to be a happy, fun place, and that might take me not taking tournaments as seriously when it's not the game I'm consumed with. So, anyways, that's not important here. But Carlsen not wanting to spend that much time on this, not feeling that inspired by it, he said if Firouzja, the kid, won, he'd probably play, but if anyone else won, he probably wouldn't. And the chess world as a whole just didn't believe him. And then Nepo wins, and Fide says Carlsen has, I forget, 3 weeks to decide whether he wants to play. And then, the day they said was the deadline, they go, oh, oops, we had a miscommunication. Carlsen can take as long as he wants. We actually, haven't really started negotiating yet. And then, a day after that, Carlsen announces he's not playing for the world champion. He's resigning the title. So I said at the start repeatedly, I called him the current world champion. He is the current world champion, but as soon as the next match is played, someone else will be. And the match will be Nepo, who came first, Ding Liren, who came second in the candidates. But this is kind of a weird moment in world chess. There have been schisms before when someone split from the main organization, when Kasparov did, and there were sort of 2 world champions, but no one really counts the other one. Kasparov was world champion. There was also eventually when that schism was resolved, there was a whole scandal around Toiletgate. You can look it up. There have been a lot of things that have gone on. Alekhine died. He was world champion, died during World War II. There was a little bit of a mess after that. Okay. With that card out of their hand, does it open anything up for us? Plus wall combo elemental. So we could go safely in 7. 7 is safe for me. I should also note 7532 is a +1 and 2. I should make sure not to forget that. If we go there, they don't have safety and reply in 9. If they go in 6, we're probably reasonably happy to go in 2. Probably. So 7 seems kind of appealing. If we go in 2 immediately, I think we give them combos back. We could go in 6. We could start in 6. But I don't have a way to do so that feels all that safe or all that recapturable. So I think safety in 7 is probably what I should be thinking. I don't have a recapture in 4 of 1 after that, but the only way he can take 1 at this moment is 5-2-5-7. I have a pretty nice way to combo that back, which does concede a combo to him of 7-5-3-2 and 5, but that gives me a combo with 2-5-7-5 and 4 at the end. So I kind of like the look of this. I think 7-1-4-5 and 7, and I think he has to be careful. I have a decent threat of 2-7-5-4 and 4, and I don't give up obvious safety. Does he have a big setup in 5? I don't see it. 7-5-3-2 and 5 gives him 2, but doesn't really give him 4, actually, because there's no same. There's no same. And I have play in 4. I think I'm going to do this. I think it's hard for it to be not reasonably strong. And I just don't trust long-term calculations too well on this kind of set, where I might be intuiting some sames sometimes, but also just elemental. So I'm just going to try to make sound moves that don't hurt me. I think that's what I want to be doing. Sorry this video's so long. I should have broken it up. No, it's just an hour. That's fine. 5-minute games, I guess, go a lot quicker than 7. So yeah, Carlsen resigns the title. Now, he does state he has some goals. He, at the time, was rated around 2860. The highest rating anyone else has ever had was Kasparov's 2851, and Caruana was also around 2850 for just a moment, like mid-tournament. Note, Kasparov did it like 20 years earlier, and if you look at the all-time highest ratings list, the rating inflation is so obvious, because of like the top 20 ratings, like 17 of them are held between like 2012 and 2017, so it's just obvious that's when ratings peaked. Okay. But Carlsen's peak is 2880. He's currently around 2860, and he set a goal of 2900, which would be a really historic feat, though notably, he still would have less of a lead over the field than Kasparov often had. I think to match kind of Kasparov or Fischer's lead over the field, you're looking at numbers more like 2930, which is just so unthinkable. So I don't think he'll ever have that kind of margin. But if he hits 2900, everyone will consider him the GOAT. I realize I'm saying a lot of stuff I'm sure no one watching this, except maybe Piggyman, cares about, but that's okay. We tell stories. So, okay. Carlsen, great champion, resigns the title, leaving the world in this really weird place because it's going to be the first time when the clear best player in the world is not world champion, and it's not because someone happened to beat them, right? We've had times where there were upsets in world championship matches, but usually it turned out that the player who did the upset then like started playing just phenomenally, and it was like, oh, they did deserve to be there, or the better player wins the title back immediately. And that's probably not going to be the case here. Though maybe the most depressing thing for Carlsen will be seeing someone else's world champion, and maybe that will cause him to get back in it. Hard to say. Hard to say. But that's going to be fun too, because then he has to win the candidates, and that'll be a tournament with so much pressure that would be really exciting. So I think that will all be fun to see. But suffice it to say, we have Carlsen, best player in the world, current champion, best player by a decent margin. And we have Hans Niemann, this, 50th in the world, has been on a tear to get there, and is sort of a weird dude who just had an absolutely terrible tournament and basically clearly got invited to this one because he gave such nutty press conferences in the last one. And that's the start of the Cinca Field Cup. That's sort of where we stand. And these are our two main characters. I think instead of continuing the story, which I'll do in another video, because clearly I'm going to keep playing Piggyman for a while, I think we should add a third character, Hikaru Nakamura. Nakamura has been like a top 10 player in the world for a little over a decade, maybe. He's particularly good at online formats, playing online, playing very fast time controls. He's very quick. Let's call him the Akiyama of the chess world, though hopefully Nakamura has flaws Akiyama does not have, so maybe this will end up being mean to Akiyama. It was meant as a compliment. So let's just call him Nakamura, Hikaru Nakamura. He becomes a Twitch streamer. He gets a ton of popularity. He's the most popular Twitch streamer. He does all the kind of Twitch YouTuber type stuff. So he does like reaction videos where he's going like, oh my god, you won't believe such and such, and like watches popular videos that are not necessarily about chess, and spends some of the time telling you what he's investing in because, you know, various stuff like that. He's a bit of a, I think, acquired taste, but also clearly he's not because he's very popular quite quickly. Really hit it off in the chess boom. Okay, Piggy does go 5, but it's really worth noting 4 is dead to him. The only thing he can ever do in 4 is recapture 5 without comboing it. Now, if I go in 4 or 9, he will go in the other, and 5-2, 5-7 is really good at the end. Yeah. So I think I need to occupy 2 or 6. I think 2 or 6 must be occupied. Now, if I go in 2 with anything, and he goes in 4, I win. If I win with either 5-2, 5-7, and 6, or 2-7, 5-4, and 6. Either one of those cards in 6, I will take at least 2 cards. Yeah, I can't not win there. If I go in 2 and he doesn't occupy 4, then I have to take the other square. So the question is, because I want him to play in 4 uselessly at the end. Though actually, I have a plus in 4, and that can grab 8 as well. So actually, if I go in 2, and I keep 2, 5, 7, 5 in my hand, and let's say I keep 5, 2, 5, 7, that just feels like the right card to keep. So let's say I play 2, 7, 5, 4 in 2. I'm going to capture everything. I'm going to go up 8 to 2, right? If he plays in 4, it's 7, 3. I block 6. He can only take, he can't combo, I win 6-4. He will take because of the -1, but I win. And if he goes in 9, I go 6. I'm already up 8 to 2. I'll be up 9 to 1 for he's never taken that many cards back. So the question is, what happens if he goes 6? If he goes 6 and doesn't combo, plays 5, 4, 7, 2, I block 4, I'm up so much. If he goes 5, 2, 5, 7, he flips back a whole bunch of things, but I play 2, 5, 7, 5, and 4, and I think I win. So I think 2, 7, 5, 4, and 2 wins. I suspect 5, 2, 5, 7 does as well. I'm going to recheck without talking it out just to make sure. 2, 7, 5, 4, and 2. Okay, I guess I'll talk it out a little. Goes 4. Flip everything. Exit 7, 3. I'm up 8, 2. That's a win. There, I go there. There's no same. There's no same. If there was same, we'd be really screwing up here. There's no same. If he goes 9, I go 6. Yeah. I think this is a win. but I don't have it, you know? I don't have my dream calculation. But some days I have, some days I don't, but I never really have with Elemental. And I am proud of a bunch of stuff I've done since the return. But one of the things I'm proudest of is winning a finals with Elemental on, because that had not been something I had done before, I don't think. Very strongly don't think. Now, one thing this does is it guarantees I can't lose the match through closed if this is in fact a win. And it's really nice to know you can't lose through closed. That means if you lose, you have screwed up, right? Not that like closed is not a skill game, but you can lose without screwing up in closed. And you do have to screw up to lose an open, whether it be a terrible hand or you messing up. Now, sometimes screwing up is easier than others, but it makes it feel like the match is under control. Yeah, so obviously if same was on, I would be murdered here, but same is not on. So we get on the board, and I'm going to end the video here. Didn't talk enough about who Nakamura is, because he will be a somewhat relevant character in this story. But trust me, this story will be good, even if we're taking forever to get there. I think you now have most of the background information. Yeah, I think that was a really tough position for him after 7. I think... I don't really have a suggestion, but I think 8 must have been wrong. Though maybe he had a tie after that. Someone sharp at E can figure it out. Yeah, so let's end this recording for a moment, and we'll be back in a sec.